rolling. Well, this is the recordproduction.com interview with Chris Tsangarides. We can see the sea from here as well.
Oh, that's right, just over there.
Which is very nice.
Yeah. Well, you also see the French, but bless them.
We can't have everything.
No, you can't.
So how long have you been here?
Since April of last year, 2006. That's the first session. Was
and
in
did you have your own studio before that?
Yeah.
Where was that one?
That was in Kenley, fondly named The Dump. And The Dump, I had that with a drummer friend of mine called Darren Mooney, who plays in Primal Scream, and with Gary Moore. And that's how we got to know each other. And he built this room, well, a series of rooms, a studio basically, for him to bash his drums about. And I had all this equipment, and he said, well, why don't you? So I did, and it was great. Worked an absolute treat. It was about quarter the size of what we've got here.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
But the racket we made in there was insane. I mean, it just...
How long ago did that get set up then?
That was set up about, I suppose, 5 years ago now, when we first went in there.
Was that the first time you had your own space?
No, before that I was at the Music Bank.
Yeah, so you sort of slid into having your own space.
Basically, yeah, because I've been collecting gear, microphones forever, you know. And I had a whole bunch of outboard stuff, and and it kind of, well, there suddenly I had a studio all of a sudden after that record, because we had the radar, well, not this one, the Radar 1 at the time, and a desk and a whole bunch of microphones, outboards. Oh, that's a studio, isn't it? Okay. And that's basically, I had a room there at the Music Bank that I took, and used to use their rehearsal space as my studio space, with fairly great cable run, whatever. And that worked out fine, but it got tricky because I had to... It was like me sub-booking another studio and tying up my schedule with their schedules, and it was like, no, we had to move somewhere else. And that's what happened. I moved in with Darren, and that was cool.
So did you feel you needed to have your own space at that point?
Yeah, because it wasn't so much for doing anybody else other than me dicking around. And then that writing, because I do a hell of a lot of that, and
you have your own musical project.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all it was. But as people discovered, you go, well, maybe we could come down and do something. Well, it's not really set up for, but yeah, okay, if you slum it, and slowly but surely, it kind of, these things take on a life of their own, and then you end up buying a bit of this and a bit, and then you make it comfortable, and there's a kitchen suddenly, and so on. And before
so by the time you came here, you must have known you needed to provide a few more...
Yeah, absolutely, a proper facility, and the fact, by the time I came here, and the fact that there's accommodation as well that I can have, so I've got a private residential studio, like insane, But it's perfect, because the way the music industry has become, I saw that writing on the wall a long time ago, you know, and I've been very fortunate because a lot of people over here know me for the hard rock stuff, but the Americans and Canadians, they know me for a lot of different alternative style music, and that kind of has kept me going all this time.
So where does most of your work come from, or through, or how does it come? How do people come to you?
They come. It's ridiculous. A hell of a lot of it is MySpace.
Right.
They sort of find you, I can't believe I found you, kind of thing. But although if you put my name in, it'll come up with my management details and so on. But it's been quite a few people like that, and because I'm such an old twat, I've done so many things that people remember. Oh, I remember that old gig, whatever. And so there's quite a few young people that I've been working with that remember old records and think,
fans.
That's I want it to sound kind of like that.
And what do the bands think of the idea of coming here and having your own little studio?
They absolutely adore it. Touch wood. Everybody. I've had Japanese people, Canadian people, German people, Greeks, Portuguese, you name it here, and they just fall in love with the place, because here we have 60 acres. There's the sea. It's a beautiful. Look at this. It's damn near November, and look, the sun's out. And in the summertime, it's absolutely gorgeous. We go and hang out on the beach, have barbecues. It's great.
Brilliant.
And people relax. They just go, man, this is. And we come out with stuff that's just awesome.
And who are the clients? Are the bands playing for these things themselves?
It depends. I mean, this band that we have here, Matt Mays and El Torpedo, are from Canada. They're a pretty large act over there. They're on Warner Brothers.
Oh, right.
And they wanted me to do their record because of a band called the Tragically Hip, who are pretty big over there. But because of the diversity of acts that I do is the interest of this particular band in me doing it. Because albeit being kind of a rock and roll act, there's more to it than that. They don't want just straight, 2 guitars, drums, bass, vocal, see you, good night. There's a whole load of stuff that's going to be going on there.
Right.
And like they do with their records, so it's going to be cool.
Excellent.
It's going to be very cool.
I think they're about to come
Then
and
they're
see
going
us.
to come barging through. You may come in, boys. Come in, say hi. Say hi as you go through. Wave to the camera.
Yeah, okay.
There's a fresh cup of
Sounded very good.
coffee there.
I think we got the take.
Yeah, I think we got it, boys.
I think that was it.
Yeah, definitely, actually. That beat, Timbo. You got it down, dude.
Yeah, it's getting there.
It's getting there. Oh, yeah. No, you'll get there. You'll get there. That's it. Some of that rock and roll mojo juice.
That's what you need, yeah.
That'll do it.
That'll make you play better.
See you in a bit.
So, does it make economic sense then, running a place like this?
Yeah, it does make economic sense because I'm not a studio business. I'm not here with an advert in a paper, come to Chris's studio so much per day and have your songs done or whatever. No, it's people ask me to produce their albums, depending who, what, where, how. We'll either go to a studio somewhere else, but because the budgets are so shit, it works.
Yeah.
It really works because it's a one-man band. It's my place. That's it. There's nothing else involved. There's no. I don't advertise. I don't need that. It's not. That's not what I'm about. It's. This is part of the tool of my trade. If I was a plumber, I'd have a big bag of tools. Well, there's my mixing desk, my recording stuff, and because it's kind of so specific to me, things are so easy. It's set up exactly like I want it. Things get done very quickly, and we have such a relaxed time, and there's no restraint on, well, you've booked 4 days and it's taken us 6. You owe me, it doesn't work like that.
You don't charge on a daily rate.
No,
You
it's
give an
like
all-in price.
Yeah, it's basically here's the producer's fee, and because they can't pay the producer's fee and the studio these days. And it sucks, it absolutely sucks.
That'd be Paul McCartney on the phone. Do you want to?
Probably Paul. I'll just tell him to go sling his hook again.
Yeah.
He keeps bugging me, man. Hello, Paul. Hello. No, I'll speak to you later, mate. Bye. Don't bug me when look, and tell Macca, 50 mil, and that's our final offer. Bye. Damn Beatles, they just get everywhere. No respect, these people, you know what I'm saying?
Do the modern bands expect to record differently from the bands of old?
No. That's the other thing. I've had a really, really, really young band that are on a development scenario with the publishers Blue Mountain. And average age of the group 17. And my goodness me, what a bunch of old heads on young shoulders, They just knew, they wanted to play and to, here's our amp, and wow, it's the first time we've heard it sound like it should, And you think, well, it's not rocket science, but because we've become, it's kind of become the norm to go in your bedroom with your computer. There's nothing wrong with that either, don't get me wrong, That's what makes things great, the diversity of the but if our major studios close down, it would be that's shocking.
So how have your attitudes to studios changed over the years?
I still like the big old stuff, the Olympics of this world, the metropolises, whatever. We need these places. Without that kind of training that people used to have, this is how you pack a mic cable. This is how just basic crap like that gets logged in and it's all part of it. It's all part of the learning curve, and seeing those great people making sounds out of, you know, nothing, basically, you know, and like, what the hell, he's just put a microphone there and it sounds unreal. I've sat there for 3 hours dicking around with everything, and I sound like crap, you know, what's going on? And that's the sad part, you know, there's nobody sort of, or very little of knowledge from the older people to the younger generation. Like when I began, the older guys, I was like, oh wow, that's how you, oh yeah, check this. And that learning curve is sadly missing, you know. And so what happens is, like any kind of artisan sort of, you know, people, you know, thatching, you know, it's one of those scenarios, and it's sad, you know.
And do the bands of old record differently these days from how they used to?
Yeah, they do actually. Probably the older bands are into the auto-tune more than the newer ones, because it's like, oh, thank God for that. Yeah. But no, it's pretty much people. If they're working with me, they kind of know the way I. Yeah. Well, after the first day, they certainly do. You know.
You don't stand for any nonsense.
No. If it ain't right, you know. It's not sounding right. Well, play it right. Because that's what it is, you know. There's no secret to anything. If the guy can play and he's got a decent guitar and a decent amp, that's it. You know, we can place microphones and capture whatever it is that he's making. So there's the secret. Him, not me. You know, I just know where to put the microphone so it sounds like it does out in the room, you know. So I think they're like, oh. Especially when they come in and say, can you get me an Eddie Van Halen guitar sound? Say, no. Well, why not? I've got the same guitar and the same. Well, you're not Eddie Van Halen, you day nut. But I've got the same. No, listen. Doesn't matter what you had, whether you had a this or a that, you'd still sound like you. You wouldn't sound like Eddie. End of story. And Eddie would sound like Eddie, whatever he played, you know. Once they get that into their heads, it's like, okay, we're in business, you know. Yeah.
Do you do much live recording and mixing these days?
I not for the past year or so, but I've done a heck of a lot of live stuff, 5.1 DVD not stuff. I think the last one I did was a concert with Gary Moore, a tribute for Phil Lynott in Dublin. It was his 20th anniversary of his death, but it was his birthday. They'd set a statue up in Dublin, and we put this show on, recorded it, and got all the old guitar players from Thin Lizzy on, and it was basically Thin Lizzy without Phil, bless him, and it was fantastic, really good. Took the Sanctuary Mobile over there, and then mixed it up at Metropolis, and it was a treat.
How'd you get on with the old 5.1 then?
Great, love it. Yeah? Love it. It's a fucking quad, isn't it? It's, you know, let's stick another number and a subwoofer on it. But, you know, I remember getting quad down at Morgan when I was starting there and thinking, wow, this is great. And we did one quad session. What was that? That was a piano. You know, what the hell do they expect? I was thinking, what am I supposed to do with a quadraphonic piano session? I know, I'll put a mic in each corner. That's ridiculous. So no one ever used it. We never did anything in quad, and we had this beautiful Kodak desk with the quad pots and all sorts of bullshit, and no one ever bothered. No one ever bothered because they couldn't figure out what damn format to, and it's kind of like it is now, you know. Yeah. They still don't know what they're doing, but it's a great... It's amazing for films, fantastic. If you were to do a band in 5.1, a studio album, there's no set template as to what should be where. I mean, what do you do? Do you put the drums in the middle of the room? Do you put them at the front? I mean, you know, we know when we're in stereo, well, there's the bass drum, there's the snare, and, you know, it's kind of set. You just kind of, that's it. What the hell do you do in 5.1? There's no... So I'd love to be able to come up with, like, this is it, the ultimate, you know, we put the bass drum right in the middle and the snare and then the cymbals, you know, whatever, you know. Just figure it out, you know. But certainly works well in a concert scenario because stick the audience in the.
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying about studios.
Yeah.
Do you not feel that by people like you having studios like this, you're contributing to the downfall of all those big places like Olympic?
No, it's because it's the record companies. Because if they had the budgets, I'd be at Olympic. I wouldn't have had to build my own place. Well, like I say, I didn't build it initially for any other purpose but for myself.
Sure.
But it's become like that because the budgets these guys want to give you, it's embarrassing. You just would not believe what the hell and then the deals they're offering the bands are even more embarrassing. And I don't know how the hell they got the neck to do this. And then they expect studios to, the guy spent £2 million setting up an SSL studio with the latest, the best, this, then you name it. And this guy wants to give him, £200 a day. Why? Why should the studio owner subsidise your damn record company? What the hell are you doing, Mr. Record Company? Who are you? What's your point? It's easier for a band to just get a credit card and do it themselves, And it is because of the state of the business that my business is on the rise. And only because of the way they are. And I mean, if you go into any record label now, there'll be a few people, oh yeah, I remember that old fool, didn't he do, or whatever. But 90% of them wouldn't know who the hell I was if I smacked them in the face, And they don't understand the volumes of sales I think of. I've been used to millions of sales, touch wood, like a load of people back in, that have come up in my era. If they sell a few thousand, they're happy these days. And it's like, well, that's crap. Why are you doing that? Because, there's so many different things you can buy and, and kids have only got... Well, yes, they have got that amount of money. But if you do it right, there's money enough for everybody, Why should a CD cost as much as it does? It doesn't, the retailer makes God knows how much on it. Drop the damn prices, you silly, Do something, but they don't. Sign some credible long-term projects that you can develop. Where are we going to get our big bands again? We're still talking about the same idiots I was when I was a kid that were like, oh wow, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath.
Well, somebody pointed out it would be like us now talking about, in those days, people were getting enthusiastic about Glenn Miller, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. Bloody hell.
When you think the time difference that's gone by.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely 30s
right,
jazz
George.
being popular in the late 60s.
That's true. And you think, it seems, I mean, there's got to be a bit more to it than how I'm simplifying it like this. But it seems kind of obvious. And to many of my peers and everybody that we talk to, we're all the same opinion. So why on earth these people in these record companies can't see that by not investing in anything, there's not going to be much left, I really, I despair. I really do. Really do, and I'm very thankful that I have my little niche that I'm in that's enabled me to keep working non-stop for 33 damn years, so.
But you'd think from that, following that through logically, there'd be this gap in the market for somebody to grab that opportunity and really do something.
Well, I would have thought because there's still talent there. There's not, and nothing has changed in the way you make it. You gig and you get signed and you sell, and it's all the same, except it seems to be that back in the 70s, whatever, a band would get signed, and that's all they would do. They would be a band. They would get their 20 quid a week or whatever it was from the record company. You can't do that now. You've got a day job as well. So, well, that kind of defeats the whole damn professional thing. It waters it down. You have to either be a band or you're not a band, and it's not right. I don't think it's right, and again you can see how it is that these companies, where we had loads of record companies back then,
and it was people, individuals, Chris Blackwell at Ireland, for example, and they would see something and go for it because they felt an affinity with that music, whatever it was. And somebody like Chris, with all the, you know, reggae and rock and all manner, you would buy a record because it said Ireland on it, and he didn't give a crap who it was because you knew it would be cool. Because there's 4 record companies left, it's all just been bought up, they've all been soaked up together. It's impersonal, it's all about looking after the shareholders. So how do we make money quickly, chaps? Well, we do this, we sell the, you know, Pop Idol, whatever. Nothing against pop music, there's room for everything. But if you just concentrate on the quick buck, what are you going to do in the future? Unless they've got some cunning plan that you know, some completely hidden new recording medium that we don't know about, that we're going to have to buy all our music on again. You know, I mean, how many times can you keep buying the same damn thing, you know? So, and it seems to me that the music that's coming out these days, very little of it is going to stand the test of time. It's going to become very dated and not like the classic sort of, you know, records of yesteryear. And I don't wish to appear, the good old days. It wasn't the good old days. It was just as hard, you know. But it seemed to be there was a little bit more emphasis on music and less on the business. Yeah, it would appear.
Why did you get into working in studios and how did that happen?
No, I was at school, finished school, and I had a mate of mine who got a job at Morgan as a tape-up, and he said, "Hey, you want to come and do this, mate? Become an engineer?" I went, "Well, I don't know anything about that." I said, "Hey, don't need to know that. Can you make tea?" I went, "Yeah, okay." But I did. I wrote to all the studios, basically, and got the, you know, your letters on file, thank you very much.
Yeah.
But there was an opening at Morgan, and I went along, and because he tipped and told them he is a friend of mine, I know him, he's a good bloke, fair enough. So there were a few others going for the gig as well, but I got it, and that was that. You know.
Tell me about the Vortex miking system.
Ah, the dreaded Vortex. That's I was working with a band called Brand X, which was Phil Collins' side project in the 70s. Just jazz fusion, you know, whatever. And everyone in this band had a solo on the record, and there was the drum solo, of course, and the bass solo, and it was all wonderful. Time for guitar, and being jazzers, I wouldn't give a, you know, you can do it, you know, me the humble tape up and like, what? Hey? They buggered off and left me and the guitarist. So we looked at each other and I said, "Hey man," he goes, "how can we make this louder?" Typical. This dirty great big Marshall stacked with JBL speakers and a Fender Strat, which just JBL, fucking hell, bright as shit. Yeah. And I looked in a particular studio we were at, had these huge great partition screens. So I built this huge V out of the stack. And of course it's pointing out, the volume's just all going at you. It's like, yeah, this is great, he loved it. So I stuck microphones everywhere, like a loony. I didn't have a clue, straight up. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I thought it was a good idea at the time. So mics up here, on the glass, on the floor, all over the shop. Got onto the mixing desk, and I put it through the old quad pots, as I said, we had the Matrix things. And I was panning all these microphones all over the place. Wow, and he's wailing away and recording, this is wonderful. And then I stopped panning away, and I'm listening, and it's still panning. Hang on a minute, what the fuck is going on here? Here, John, man, listen to that. Listen to that. And he's going, "Who's panning, man?" I'm going, "Yeah, it's a fucking Vortex." Is what he said. I went, "Aha, yes." And I didn't realise what the hell I was doing, why it was doing all that. But essentially, it's a close mic and a distant mic placed in a nice position. One hard left, one hard right. When you balance it, the distance between those two mics, there's going to come a point where it goes out of phase. And that, hence the panning.
Starts moving around.
Yeah.
Clever stuff.
And I didn't know. I didn't have a damn clue. It took me about another 20 years to figure that one. I go, oh shit, that's why it's doing. But it was interesting. And it also pleased guitar players when they played rhythm, because you were using room. So the sound was bigger. And that's, essentially it.
And you still do that?
Yeah. Still do it to this day, and I get letters, how much is the Vortex and where can I buy one?
Great.
You know. But
how did you publicise it then? You've just
I
told
didn't.
everybody you worked with?
Yeah, I had a couple of, we'd do the Vortex Man, and it started, and then a couple of interviews here and there, and it got in the press, and then it got picked up, and then in a couple of guitar manuals, and now it's an official Wikipedia fodder.
Right.
Yes, apparently.
You need a logo for it.
Exactly. But I am in speaks with a company to make a pedal.
Oh, right.
That does it.
Yeah.
So it will be a direct recording box as well, or you can use it live, with two clean amplifiers, and there you go. So
clever stuff. That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
So last time I saw you,
yes,
we were at Livingston Studios.
That's right, a few years back, eh?
With a band called the Prime Movers.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember we were doing a slightly sort of fake live situation.
Oh, yeah,
we were
that's
pretending
right.
that they were playing live.
Yeah.
And I had my finger over the quarter-inch with the audience sound effects.
That's it. That's it. That's right. Yeah. What the hell was that for?
God knows.
God
Live
knows.
EP or something.
Yeah.
The only other thing I remember about the session is that you kept setting the NS10s on fire.
Oh shit! Yeah, I never liked NS10s. Yeah.
With the isopropyl.
Yeah.
And I think I'd been working at the studio for about 6 months, and I was thinking, is this a good idea? Should I tell my boss? No, maybe not.
I've done mixers. I've done. Oh dear. They Cadacs burn the best.
Do they?
Because they got Formica on the penthouse. So
fantastic.
Now kids, don't be doing that at home. No, it what it was, basically the vapor of the isopropyl would burn and leave nothing there if it was a plastic surface or whatever. And it used to be quite impressive if you do the whole top of the mixing board and call maintenance in and hide as they walk in. And I remember doing that once to poor old Jack at Morgan. He came in, I set the damn thing on fire, whoosh, the flames went up. I mean, they only last for about 4 or 5 seconds, so that's it. But and it's not clever really, but you're young and stupid, so off it goes, and I'm hiding behind the desk. He opens the door and goes, and then I leap up from behind the desk singing, I am the god of hellfire and I bring you fire. You stupid little son, I love you. And he's chasing. Fantastic. Brilliant times. I mean, you don't get that these days, do you? And then a few years later, I'm in a studio in the south of France, and they go, Chris, and I'm thinking, hi, yeah, you're the bloke that sets mixers on fire.
So you stopped doing it?
Yeah. No, I grew out of that, my
Yes.
pyromania phase. Yeah.
Proper rock and roll.
Oh, yeah. Goodness me, Rod Stewart and the Faces there a lot,
of course,
and we had Black Sabbath and Judas Priest and UFO and Jethro Tull forever, loads, and it was fantastic. Yes, all these fantastically great bands, and there were 4 studios, and there'd always be, and there was a bar, so it was quite the scene. I'm much happier now because it's kind of simple, and it sounds bigger, better, wonderful. Just keep it simple. Really keep it simple. Get a good bass sound in the first place, what you got off the floor, and the rest just sort of falls into place. It's wonderful. Yeah. It takes a long while for you to figure that one out.
Yeah.
It really does, because you think you've got to do all this stuff to make it sound great, and really you don't. You just have to be confident that you know what you're doing.
And you have to work with good people, I guess. As well.
It's always, I've been. That's the thing. That's
how do you
kind
choose
of been.
projects like that? I mean, do you get bands who can't quite cut it, and
I've had that in the past, but when, like in the when I began, I was just lucky to be in a situation where I got to work with Gary Moore. We made a single, Parisian Walkways, which happened to be the first thing I did, and it was a hit. So you're talking at a different sort of level. I still didn't know what I was doing, but suddenly I'm getting people calling me to make records, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And you just learn as you go along, of course. You just have to go. But it's one thing getting the break, and it's another thing delivering the goods and then keeping it going. And I've been very fortunate that I've had good breaks, I'm very fortunate that we've had successes. So enough to keep working, you know, and essentially that it is a job, but it's the best job ever. I don't know anything else. I left school and that's all I've done, and I don't know what the hell I would do if nobody wanted to work with me again, you know.